Hi. Oh, you guys will have to excuse me. I'm not feeling very gritty today, but I'm going to read anyway, and I'm going to read fast because I'm going to finish this chapter. Me and, you, whoever you may be, singular. We're going to get to Grit Grows, and then I'm not going to have time later today because I got a lot of shit going on, but I'm going to read fast. Whoever is following this book, I commend you. It's a life-changing book. If you're not following it, I'm not going to say anything because you're not listening, so that'd be stupid. So, here I go, reading fast. Still, it wasn't clear how I'd make a life there. Hated on journalism as a career path. The professor who had admired Jeff's writing suggested as much as Jeff remembers thinking. That is the dumbest idea I'd ever heard. Who wants to work for a boring newspaper? I remember thinking the same thing. I'm joking. Jeez, calm down. We're on page 59. When I got to Oxford, I was pretty lost academically. It was shocking to the Oxford professors. Oh, I'm really tired too, by the way, so forgive me. It was shocking to the Oxford professors that I didn't really know what I wanted to do. They were like, "Why are you here? This is a serious place." Sounds like something I would say. Why are you here? How about no one cares, so please go away. Why are you here? Please go away. Focus. You should have a firm sense of what you want to study or you shouldn't be here. My guess at the time was that Jeff would pursue photojournalism. He reminded me of Robert Kincaid, the worldly wise photographer played by Clint Eastwood in... Anybody? The Bridges of Madison County, which was released around the time we became friends. In fact, I can still remember the photographs Jeff showed me 20 years ago. I thought they were from National Geographic, but he'd actually taken them himself. By his second year at Oxford, he figured out that journalism was an even better fit. Once I learned more about being a journalist and how that could get me back to Africa and how that actually would be fun and I could write more creatively than I first imagined journalism was, then I was like, screw it, this is what I'm going to do. I like Jeff. I set out a very deliberate path that was possible because the journalism industry was very hierarchical. And it was clear how to get from A to B to C to D, etc. That was one paragraph, folks, and there was only one period. That's what you call a run-on. Step A was writing for Oxford's student newspaper, Sharewell. Step B was a summer internship at a small paper in Wisconsin. Step C was the St. Petersburg Times in Florida on the Metro beat. D was the Los Angeles Times. E was the New York Times as a national correspondent in Atlanta. Step F was being sent overseas to cover war stories, and in 2006, just over a decade since he'd set himself the goal, he finally reached Step G, becoming the New York Times East Africa Bureau Chief. Holla! It was a really winding road that took me to all kinds of places, and it was difficult and discouraging and demoralizing and scary. Oh, life! And all the rest. But eventually I got here. I got exactly where I wanted to be. As for so many other grit paragons, the common metaphor of passion as fireworks doesn't make sense when you think of what passion means to Jeff Gettleman. Fireworks erupt in a blaze of glory, but quickly fizzle, leaving just wisps of smoke and a memory of what was once spectacular. What Jeff's journey suggests instead is passion as a compass. That thing that takes you some time to build, tinker with, and finally get right, and then guides you on your long and winding road to where ultimately you want to be. Seattle Seahawks coach Pete Carroll puts it in this way. Do you have a life philosophy? For some of us, the question makes no sense. We might say, well, I have a lot of things I'm pursuing, a lot of goals, a lot of projects. Which do you mean? But others have no problem answering with conviction, this is what I want. Everything becomes a bit clearer when you understand the level of the goal Pete is asking about. He's not asking about what you want to get done today specifically or even this year. He's asking what you're trying to get out of life. In grit terms, he's asking about your passion. Pete's philosophy is, do things better than they have ever been done before. Like with Jeff, it took a while to figure out what, in the broader sense, he was aiming for. The pivotal moment came at a low point in his coaching career just after getting fired as head coach of the New England Patriots. Patriots. Boo. I hate them. I shouldn't say I hate them. That's a strong word. I loathe them. No, that's exactly the same as hate. I'm not a Patriots fan. Let's just leave it at that. This was the first and only year in his life when Pete wasn't playing or coaching football. At that juncture, one of his good friends urged him to consider something more abstract than which job to take next. You've got to have a philosophy. Do y'all have a philosophy? I do. I'll tell you about it later because we don't got time because we're reading 20 pages. Pete realized he didn't have one. Period. He needed to. If I was ever going to get the chance to run an organization again, I would have to be prepared with a philosophy that would drive all my actions. He did a lot of thinking and reflecting. My life in the next weeks and months was filled with writing notes and filling binders. At the same time, he was devouring the books of John Wooden, the legendary UCLA basketball coach who won a record-setting 10 national championships. That might be pronounced Wooden. I really don't know. Like a lot of coaches, Pete had already read Wooden. I don't know. Holler if you know, because I don't. This time he was reading, Jesus, I'm not going to keep saying that. He was reading it and understanding at a much deeper level what the coaching icon had to say, and the most important thing he said was that though a team has to do a million things well, figuring out the overarching vision is of utmost importance. Guys, it's utmost, okay? All y'all who say upmost, that's wrong. It's not, it's U-T, utmost, okay? Take note. Pete realized in that moment that particular goals, winning a particular game or even a seasonal championship, or figuring out this element of the offensive lineup or the way to talk to players needed coordination and it needed purpose. A clear, well-defined philosophy gives you the guidelines and boundaries that keep you on track, he said. One way to understand what Pete is talking about is to envision goals in a hierarchy. Top level, mid-level, low level, low. I'm sorry, you guys. I just can't help it. I love that song. At the bottom of this hierarchy are our most concrete and specific goals, the tasks we have on our short-term to-do list. I want to get out the door today by 8 a.m. Don't we all? I want to call my business partner back. I'm actually meeting with my business partner later today, so that should be good. I want to finish writing the email I started yesterday. These low-level goals exist merely as a means to an end. We want to accomplish them only because they get us something else that we want. In contrast, the higher the goal in this hierarchy, the more abstract, general, and important it is. The higher the goal, the more it's an end in itself, and the less it's merely a means. In the diagram I've sketched out here, low level, mid-level, high level, there are just 3 levels, like I just said. It's an oversimplification. Between the lowest and the highest level might be several layers of mid-level goals. For instance, getting out the door by 8 a.m. is a low-level goal. It only matters because a mid-level goal, arriving at work on time. Why do you care about that? Because you want to be punctual. You want to get paid. Why do you care about being punctual? Because being punctual shows respect for the people with whom you work. Why is that important? Because you strive to be a good leader. You're a striver. If in the course of asking yourself these why questions, your answer is simply just because, then you know you've gotten to the top of a goal hierarchy. The top level goal is not a means to another end. It is an incoming call that I am going to decline. Declined. See? Got me all. The top level goal is not a means to any other end. It is instead an end in itself. That's why they're broader. Actually, we'll circle back around with that because I don't want to confuse anyone. Consider Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Seaver. When he retired in 1987 at the age of 42, he'd compiled 311 wins, 3,640 strikeouts, 61 shutouts, and a 2.86 earned run average. In 1992, when Seaver was elected to the Hall of Fame, he received the highest ever percentage of votes, 98.8%. During his 20-year professional baseball career, Seaver aimed to pitch the best I could possibly pitch, day after day, year after year. Here is how that intention gave meaning and structure to all his lower order goals. Pitching determines what I eat, when I go to bed, what I do when I'm awake. It determines how I spend my life when I'm not pitching. If it means I have to come to Florida and can't get tanned because I might get a burn that would keep me from throwing for a few days, then I never go shirtless in the sun. Brilliant. If it means I have to remind myself to pet dogs with my left hand or throw logs on the fire with my left hand, then I do that too. My daughter's left-handed. I think that's so cute. There's just not very many left-handed people out there. She's unique. If it means in the winter I eat cottage cheese instead of chocolate chip cookies in order to keep my weight down, then I eat cottage cheese. I do not. The life Seaver described sounds grim, but that's not how he saw things. Pitching is what makes me happy. I have devoted my life to it. I've made up my mind what I want to do. I'm happy when I pitch well, so I only do the things that will help me be happy. What I mean by passion is not just that you have something you care about. What I mean is that you care about the same ultimate goal in an abiding, loyal, steady way. Like me, continuing to read this book, knowing full well that there are not very many other people that care about this book. Committed means staying loyal to something you said you were going to do long after the mood you said it in has left you. I've said it a million times. What I mean is that you care about the same ultimate goal. I already said that. You are not capricious. Each day you wake up thinking of the questions you fell asleep thinking about. You are, in a sense, pointing in the same direction, ever eager to take even the smallest step forward, then to take a step to the side, towards some other destination. At the extreme, one might call your focus obsessive. Most of your actions derive their significance from their allegiance to your ultimate concern, that is, your life philosophy. You have your priorities in order. Grit is about holding the same top-level goal for a very long time. Furthermore, this life philosophy, as Pete Carroll might put it, is so interesting and important that it organizes a great deal of your waking activity. In very gritty people, most mid-level and low-level goals are, in some way or another, related to that ultimate goal. In contrast, a lack of grit can come from having less coherent goal structures. Here are a few ways a lack of grit can show itself. Pay attention. I've met many young people who can articulate a dream, for example, to be a doctor or to play basketball in the NBA, and can vividly imagine how wonderful that would be, but they can't point to the mid-level and lower-level goals that will get them there. Why? Because everybody just wants to go from here to here overnight, okay? A baby doesn't get to an adult overnight, okay? It's like, that doesn't happen. So, to learn to crawl before you walk, etc., blah, blah, blah. Their goal hierarchy has a top-level goal, but no supporting mid-level or low-level goals, so they're lacking those, like the pillars, the foundation pieces, okay? Like going out without a bra. Don't do that. You got to have the foundation pieces. This is what my good friend and fellow psychologist Gabriel Oettingen calls positive fantasizing. Gabriel's research suggests that indulging in visions of a positive future without figuring out how to get there, chiefly by considering what obstacles stand in the way, has short-term payoffs but long-term costs. In the short term, you feel pretty great about your aspiration to be a doctor. In the long term, you live with the disappointment of not having achieved your goal. Even more common, I think, is having a bunch of mid-level goals that don't correspond to any unifying top-level goal, or having a few competing goal hierarchies that aren't in any way connected with each other. It's a problem. You see this? I can show you right here. Do you see how twisted up this is? These are problems when we're talking about goal setting, okay? If you have the book, you can really see it, but you probably don't, so that's why I showed it to you. To some extent, goal conflict is a necessary feature of human existence. For instance, I have one goal hierarchy as a professional and another as a mother. Hey, me too. Even Tom Seaver admits that the travel and practice schedule of a professional baseball player made it hard to spend as much time with his wife and children as he would have liked. So, though pitching was his professional passion, there were other goal hierarchies that obviously mattered to him. Like Seaver, I have one goal hierarchy for work: use psychological science to help kids thrive. But I have a separate goal hierarchy that involves being the best mother I can be to my two daughters. As any working parent knows, having two ultimate concerns is not easy. There seems never to be enough time, energy, or attention to go around. I've decided to live with that tension. As a young woman, I considered alternatives, not having my career or not raising a family, and decided that morally there was no right decision, only a decision that was right for me. So the idea that every waking moment in our lives should be guided by one top-level goal is an idealized extreme that may not be desirable even for the grittiest of us. The grittiest of us. Still, I would argue that it's possible to pared down long lists of mid-level and low-level work goals according to how they serve a goal of supreme importance. And I think one top-level professional goal rather than any other number is ideal. In sum, the more unified, aligned, and coordinated our goal hierarchies are, the better. Oh my gosh. I lied to you guys. We're not getting to grit grows today. But the next paragraph starts in talking about Warren Buffett, so you don't want to miss that. Yeah. Peace out. Have a good day, guys, and I might see you later, and I might not. But if I don't, I plan on finishing the rest of this and getting to grit grows. It'll probably be early in the morning before I go to work, because I'm a working mama. Much love. Decline. Decline. Sorry, still declining. People calling me. I don't know why. It's like people call me. I'm busy. Furthermore, don't call. Just text or voice. It's like two very ideal alternatives to calling. Don't call. Don't call me. I'll call you. All right, guys. Have a good day. You've got to be shitting me. Decline. Love you all. Mwah.